Hello again. It is Wing Nation presented by Hercules Tires. Right on our strength. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. It is Wing Nation. Oh my gosh, we're hearing that. Krager, we have that echo again. There you go. Looks like you got it already. All right. And once in a while we get this where I hear myself, and that is the most god-awful thing in the world is to hear me. So that's why I always have great co-hosts like Aaron Evernham or Ashley Strumming. Or Allison McKinney today because I don't know where everyone is at. She joins me in the studio. How are you, Allison?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again.
You must feel like you, Aaron, Ashley, all of you that are doing all of this SRX stuff and everything else, you must feel like about 8 or 9 of Ohio Speed Week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Aaron has dubbed us the Real Housewives of SRX.
The Real Housewives of SRX.
That's what she decided, yeah.
And your deal, so Aaron and everyone has gone from Slinger to Nashville.
Well, they're not even there yet. They stopped in Kentucky to take Kate to look at a different type of horsepower.
That's right. Yeah, they were doing the horse thing. That's right.
I told Ray this week, I was like, really? And you think that race cars are expensive?
Oh, yeah, wait till they get into that.
Kentucky thoroughbreds?
So they're doing it, but Kentucky is somehow en route between one or the other.
Right, so they're on their way to Nashville. Yep.
I'm looking
Everybody
at your
else is
schedule.
in Nashville fixing race cars.
Yes, they're all at Nashville fixing race cars and whatever Nashville might have to offer once the race cars are all fixed. But Millbridge Speedway is not a direct route from Slinger to Nashville. So you are racing mom driving all night long to get home because tonight is another round for Colt McKinney out at Millbridge, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we left Sunday after the race at Slinger on Saturday. So Sunday we drove back through, and when we stopped in Indianapolis, I had my Tahoe there, so we drove back here
to Indy and then over here.
Yep. So he's going to race tonight. It's kids' night at Millbridge.
It's going to be great. Gosh,
the
it's going to be
kids
awesome.
Definitely don't want to miss that. But points night too. So so we're going to race tonight, and then tomorrow we are headed to Nashville for the SRX finale.
You guys, Ryan McKinney, her husband is the crew chief for SRX.
He's the competition director.
Competition director. Okay, I'm sorry, competition director.
Yeah.
But what that means is that we have all of these great video clips and highlights of guys wrecking cars. Okay, well.
And he and Ray are the two standing there looking at it on the radio, telling the guys, what they need to fix and making the call on, does somebody get in a backup car? And
right. They're doing all of that. But then when it comes time for repair and getting ready for the next one, then it's elbows up. It's been crazy. But what a neat thing SRX has been. And you've been to, I think, most of the races.
Yep. I missed Eldora. That was the only one.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's had to be really neat.
It's been such a great experience because, for me, when I saw the schedule, I was like Knoxville and Eldora. Those are my places.
Right, yes.
But to get to go to Stafford, after what I'd heard about Stafford and the history there, and then Doug Coby winning, that was incredible.
Yeah,
what a way to start the series. And then Knoxville did not disappoint.
No.
Eldora, I felt like was the best race that, I feel like each week the racing just gets better.
Yeah.
They the drivers are figuring it out. They're figuring out how they can push it and where to push it.
Right.
So it's been really great to see the success just build each week. So I think Nashville is gonna be a really big finale. So obviously with Chase Elliott coming in, Haley talked him into. Haley was only supposed to run. She took Kanan's spot in the two places that he couldn't go, and so she did Knoxville and Slinger. And then she asked if there was any way she could do Knoxville. So Nashville.
Nashville.
So
I got to say this: we're talking about Haley Deegan. Okay, while you were at Slinger, which is a great racetrack, I was in Knoxville, which is another great racetrack.
Yes.
Yes.
So exactly. I was standing at Slinger watching Knoxville on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Had a really neat visit, and we're way off from reservation here. We'll get into the Hefner Racing product, hot topics, and everything else. But I have Haley Deegan, and she comes in. She's got a little bit of brashness to her. She's got a little bit of her father in her. She's got some tremendous talent, some tremendous skills. She's got some funding behind her. Those are some things that people respect and like, and there are some things that people don't respect and don't like. And
Absolutely.
That's fine. And that's who Haley is. And she's somewhat, she works hard at what she does, but she's a little unapologetic at times, and this is who I am, take it or leave it. And I'm cool with that. and she does a wonderful job. So we're doing the MRN coverage of the truck race at Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking to guys like Chase Briscoe, what's it like to run Knoxville and everything. And I'm standing there with Haley, and she's answering a question. I says, I'm just going to ask this non-sprint car, she's got a little dirt track background. I'm just going to ask her what it means to run Knoxville.
Right.
Just to lay it out there. She's not gonna say this is the dumbest idea in the world or anything. She's gonna, even if she doesn't care for the idea, she's gonna tap.
She's gonna give you a good answer.
She'll give a good answer.
For sure.
Okay. So I asked her about it. She lit up.
Yeah.
She said, I'm not a sprint car fan. I raced here a couple weeks ago, but my boyfriend, which is Chase Cabry, he is a sprint car fan. She says, I've started watching Dirt Vision, and I'm really getting into sprint car racing, so it's a real thrill to be here at Knoxville. And it was just such a genuine, sweet answer.
Yeah.
And it was so wonderful. And it's like, we have this thing going on, and I think Ashley and I've talked about it a little bit on the TV show, Aaron, and I've lost track because I've lost track of who I'm sitting across from. I've lost track of what we've been doing it. We have this really neat time in motorsports where short track and big track are all coming together. You've
Absolutely.
got the Kyle Larson effect. You've got SRX effect. Chase Elliott is going to run 2 midget races this week.
2 midget races and then an SRX race. And then he's going to go do his day job on Sunday.
You've got trucks at Knoxville, which was huge.
Yep.
We have so much good going on in the sport now between all of them.
Absolutely.
And it's just so neat. Haley Deegan running all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just all of these people. It's like everything is really clicking right now in the world, in the sports world, in the racing world. And I think a lot of it is this cross. I think at one time there was a little, they're them, we're us.
Right.
And we will once in a while hold our nose and do something. Now it's like, well, let's go to the short track. Well, let's go to a NASCAR race. Let's go to this. Let's go to that. And it's such a wonderful time.
And I think there is still a little bit of that from maybe some of the higher ups. But the best part is that they're coming around.
No doubt.
And so I think that's one really cool thing about SRX and about when Ray and Tony and the other principals of the group, when they started putting people together, the goal really was they're not trying to compete with anything.
No.
They're really trying to have that NASCAR fan who's tuning in to watch Tony or Biffle or, one of those guys, to then have them go, oh my gosh, Elio Castroneves, he's great. I want to watch him beyond just the Indy 500.
Exactly.
Scott Speed, who did a great job at IRP, and then these local guys coming in. If it gets somebody to come back to that racetrack and watch them, do their day job and run those cars, that's the goal.
It will at Slinger.
For sure.
With what's the guy, the local guy up there?
Doug Hobie.
No, Doug at Stafford, but the guy at Slinger.
Oh, at Slinger. Oh, Luke Finhouse. This kid is.
Gosh.
So this kid is 17 years
You're
old.
Going to go to Slinger to watch him race.
I said to him the other night after the race, because he was standing on the podium and he finishes second to wait, who won? There's too many different people now.
Runs together. Oh, Marco. Oh, that's all. Andretti won, yeah.
So he's on the podium with Marco, and then he finishes second, and then Tony was third. And I was looking at this kid just grinning from ear to ear. And I asked his mom, I said, how old is he? And she said 17. I said, so will he be a senior? And she said, yes. And I go, man, that's quite the answer when you come in your first day of your senior year. What'd you do this summer? Yeah, exactly.
I got show and tell. It's called CBS.
Absolutely.
It's great stuff. It really is. We're at a good time of the world. Hey, let's get right after it. The Hefter Racing Product Hot Topics. Speaking of great things, is the Big Cat Brad Sweet rolling or what?
I mean, he always gets hot at the right times. He just does.
Oh, man, they're getting ready to open up the bank accounts and just dump it into Grass Valley, California, National Bank or whatever it is. 4 straight. He picked up the win at Wilmot. Brad's going to join us here on the program. The All-Stars, 2 great stories. Friday night State Line, Hunter Schoenberg, first career All-Star win. Man, what a great racer he is.
It's been coming. I mean, it's just, he's had some great battles. So.
In fact, when he won it, I was like, and everyone said first career win. I'm like, it wouldn't have shocked me if I'd have missed one along the way because he's been running that good.
Absolutely.
And then speaking of running good, Spencer Baston picked up the win at the Lou Blaney Memorial. What a special race that is. That's just really good. King of the West, NARC Series, Tim Kading picked up the win. And we're not sure if the party is continuing on or not. Probably
I'm
still
sure
is. It's only Tuesday, so
For
I'm sure. This here, another great story. We're going to talk to Dynamite Mark Dobmeier, River Cities. He swept the weekend. Mark Dobmeier did. His story is absolutely amazing. The comeback story from the back injury of more than a year ago. First time in the car. He did some testing, but first time racing the car. Parked it not only the first night, but the second night. Attica Fremont, DJ Foose was the sweeper. Husitz, Justin Henderson, another driver who's getting very, very hot at a very good time of the year, picked up the win at Husitz. Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. It was Blake Hahn and Scott Boguski picked up the win at the Grizzly Nationals. Mark Smith won at Selinsgrove. And last night, I just found out about this, the Western Sprint Tour Speed Week up in Oregon.
Yep.
Okay. Corey Day, a California racer, picked up the win last night. We'll go over the schedule. They're racing all week long out there in 360s.
Absolutely. And then on my way here, I was listening to Dirt Tracker Daily.
Yeah.
So I was listening to that.
Yeah,
and
Justin's
they were,
Justin Fiedler does that.
Justin does such a great job. And so I was listening to that. And he said that Corey is actually going to take over running the Tarleton car out in California, too.
I knew there was an opening out there in the Tarleton car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So neat stuff. Fantastic stuff. So much great racing, that is for sure. So much good stuff. And there you have it, our Hefner Racing product hot topics. You know, HRP loves karting, from sprint to road racing to winged outlaw karts. HRP Streeter Super Stands are the #1 selling brand for karting. Automatic electric lifts, roller stands, stacker to carry multiple karts just like sprint cars. HRP has tire racks, engine racks, bead breakers, and a whole line of kart racing accessory. www.hrpracing.com. That's hrpracing.com. We mentioned Hunter Schurenberg getting the win. It was the Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions Friday night at State Line Speedway. Zeb Y is the leader, not so fast. Hunter Schurenberg makes the pass for the win. Here's Blake Anderson with the call on Flow Racing.
And now for the Dryden death-defying move of the week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Schurenberg closed the gap quickly, but Wise got on the hammer and pulled back away. Deb Wise trying to get through a lap traffic. And there's Hunter Schurenberg to the lead. Schurenberg threads the needle. Hunter Schurenberg to the top spot.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Def, the official def of the world of outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
For decades, Dryden Lubricants has been made in America and made to last, paving the way on our highways, in our fields, and on the production line. Today, Dryden offers a complete line of engine oils, greases, hydraulic and transmission fluids, and diesel exhaust fluid. If you want greater performance and protection for your critical engines and equipment, go to Dryden.com. Dryden, American owned and operated, and a proud supporter of racing and race fans everywhere.
Over 200 events from coast to coast, and they're celebrating 30 years of Scattering Soil, the American Sprint Car Series. The world's largest sprint car sanctioning body is bringing more thrills with wing and even more non-wing action in 2021. 11 regional tours, the national tour. No matter where you are, we're coming to a track near you. Can't be there? Get dull to streaming fun with Racing Boys and FlowRacing.com, bringing all the adrenaline to your favorite streaming device. See the full lineup of this now at ASCSRacing.com.
The month of money starts now, tonight. Now, we've had the summer of money because there's already been some big paying races, but it starts now, the Brad Doty Classic tonight. Then we get into Eldora, $175,000 to win on Thursday night, $175,000 to win on Saturday night. And let's talk about that and a whole lot more, plus a pretty hot streak coming into it. Joining us on the Dryden Hotline is the big cat, Brad Sweet. Hello, Brad. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Brad, about 3 weeks ago, I think it was Aaron and I were saying, what's wrong with Brad? He hasn't won like in 4 or 5 races. I don't know what you've done over the last couple of weeks, but it seems like you guys have got that Napa car dialed up. Man, it's got to feel good to climb aboard that race car. Tell us, what have you worked on and what you found success with here recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of why we were, struggling with some of the, racetracks, maybe that we didn't have as good a setups at. Obviously, Jack Houston, we were good. Ran second to Aaron there, but we, felt like we had a really good race car. And Jackson, we ran third, just didn't quite hit it right in the A mains. Saturday or Sunday, afternoon. So just some definite, circumstances played into that, and just maybe not quite as on our game as we needed to be, but. Obviously went to some Cedar Lake's been a great racetrack for us. Obviously got back where we needed to be, and kind of had a good race up there at Wilmot. So good to have some momentum rolling into these next 5 nights for sure.
When you look at it, Brian Walker had a piece about where your strengths and what you were working on. Your short track program, you say, is really, really good. When you look at the big track program, was there a particular area that you're working on still to try to fine tune that you've got the short tracks dialed in on the big tracks?
Yeah, I think some stuff that you gain on the short tracks, you try to implement on the big tracks, just hasn't worked for us. So, at times, we have the speed on the big tracks, so, but you make enough mistakes, I think we're a good enough race team that we can kind of figure out, what we've been doing wrong at times. And a lot of the big track stuff is, needing to time in better, just some of them a little bit too far behind, doesn't help you. But obviously the Kings Royals are nothing to do with qualifying. So, I think it's all about racing and getting through that heat race and things like that. So, you don't want to get qualifying too good for that race. But I think that, we're just always searching, just because we win a lot or run up front, it doesn't mean it's easy for us. There's still a lot of work that goes into each and every night. And, we're still humans and we still make a lot of mistakes and, try to learn from those mistakes. And obviously, when we're down, we try to figure out why we're down and get better and solve the problem.
So, Brad, I was actually at Houston's a few weeks ago, and I was talking to a couple of the guys, asking them if the tire shortage was an issue at all. And Drew Brenner said that they were rationing right rears and stuff to teams. Has that had any sort of an impact on the setups and things like that changes that you're having to make to your setups?
Yeah, I think the tires are the biggest thing that probably people don't realize, or what change. And they're just small changes. Obviously, when they manufacture, certain batches of tires, it seems like, the setups can just change a little bit. So you're just always trying to adapt to what you feel. And, sometimes, what worked at a racetrack 2 weeks before or year before or whatever just doesn't seem to work quite right. So, you just got to keep an open mind and try to follow what your car is telling you. And, I think that's the tricky part. There's a huge human element that goes into making the decisions on the race car. There's no engineering and there's, no telemetry and no computers and nobody telling you what to do besides the driver and a crew chief and just looking at the racetrack. So that's what makes it fun. But, it's definitely a moving target at all times and tires are a big part of all that.
Well, and then too, are there certain tracks that y'all go to that that the track is going to be more consistent from time to time going there because of the group that prepares it versus other tracks where, it can be totally dusty or it can be, really tacky. Are there certain tracks that, because y'all do go to so many of them, the same time of year every year, are there certain ones that you just kind of know what to expect, at least more within reason?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely, guys that have a better handle on their tracks that have been doing it for, longer. And experience is, key in everything, whether you're, on the racing side or on the track prep side. A lot of experience, especially at one certain track, that the Knoxville crew is going to have Knoxville a certain way most of the time. And, Cedar Lake, they do a great job. All the SLS races with Larry Hillerud, he's going to do a great job. There's so many tracks that actually do a great job. The one thing that you can't ever, take into account for is, the weather. And, sometimes you'll have rain, sometimes you'll have high humidity, sometimes you have cloud cover, sometimes you have dry heat, pure sun. So, those are just all the elements that, that we all deal with, being in the outside world. So, at the end of the day, it's just about, adapting and figuring out what your race car needs. And, as a race car driver, your car's not always going to be perfect. So sometimes you're going to have to, figure some things out yourself. So, that's just what it's all about. Is the Outlaw Tour is, if you don't have a winning car, you got to get the best possible finish, and then you got to figure out why you were off and try to do better the next time you're on the racetrack.
Brad, I want to dovetail a little bit off from Allison's question about the tire situation. I spent a lot of time at Houston's talking to some people about that, and Brian Brown actually took me up in his hauler and showed me his tire collection, which is kind of interesting and strange and weird. It reminded me of the old dirt late model days when it was open tires, With all of that and with the uncertainty and with some different batches and everything, When you look at a weekend like this, have you guys kind of marked a couple tires that you want to make sure that are bolted on that car, particularly Thursday and Saturday night?
No, we just, obviously we don't feel like, it's as big of a deal as, other teams talk about. I think you can get really, talking yourself out of fixing the real problem and, get focused on something that's, maybe not really there. So we just try to stay focused on our race car and, just have the kind of mindset that whatever it tells us that night is what we need to do. And, it differs from night to night. Our setup on tomorrow night could be different than, Thursday night at the Kings Royal. So it's just, you got to have that mindset, to be successful. Obviously, we work in kind of smaller windows, and hopefully those windows are close, and then you just need to fine tune from there. So, that's kind of where we're at with it. We've had some, good luck and a little bit of bad luck here and there with tires, but for the most part, everything's been fine.
That's fascinating. That's interesting, and it's a really strong point to focus on your own stuff and not worry too much about it. Eldora is doing these doubles, which to me is fantastic. I mean, it's like I've never been to a Kings Royal, and within 5 days, I'm going to get you two of them. Yeah, I'm going to get two
awesome.
knocked out. So, I mean, race fan Steve Post is all fired up about this. Now, the late models, they had the Dream, and a guy by the name of Big Sexy put everyone to shame by winning not one, but two of them. So, do you even think about the possibility of Big Cat doing what Big Sexy did, and by the end of Saturday night being sitting there with a couple big paychecks? Do you dare do that, or do you just kind of focus on tonight at Attica, tomorrow night there? How do you dare dream like that?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of money on the line, so I mean, you want to win, every race you possibly can. So, like you said, right now we're focused on Attica tonight. We'll get to Eldora. It's nice to kind of have that first night, to kind of hopefully get your car where you want it. And then I think if you're right on Thursday night and you can win that, then there's no reason you couldn't come back and win Saturday. But obviously you got to win the first one to be able to win both. So I think you just get real focused on trying to win, trying to get your car right Wednesday night, and then obviously executing, the best you can on Thursday night. And then obviously if you can win that, I think from whatever happens from that point on, it's going to be a good weekend no matter what. So,
yeah, really.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for sprint car racers. Kings Royal format, is so different that there's a lot of layers, a lot of elements, that can happen. And I think if your car's right, you can overcome some of it. But, you definitely gotta do the whole deal. You got to get to that heat race. The big invert, and a lot of things happen there. So we'll see if we can position our Napa Auto Parts car, towards the front. I think that's the key to winning.
So I just saw a video that there's a trampoline inside of Kane screen printing. So if you can win these Kings Royals, then what do you think the next thing they're going to add to the shop is down here?
Hopefully a couple trophies.
Well, that's true.
I love it. Probably be able to buy some pretty good steak to cook on that grill when you ever get back home to California, too, I would guess.
Absolutely. The guy will all be eating good, that's for sure.
There we go. Brad, it is always a pleasure to chat with you, and it's an even greater pleasure to see you race. I love excellence. I've loved it when I've covered NASCAR, and I love watching what you and your guys are doing because it is impressive to watch. But again, as you've said, there's another one tonight and 4 more the rest of the week. We wish you the best on all of those, but we appreciate you joining us here today on Wing Nation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
There we go. The Big Cat, Brad Sweet, joining us on the Dryden Hotline. I've always been, you have people that were like Jimmy Johnson is ruining NASCAR, Donnie Schatz is ruining sprint car racing, Brad Sweet is. Yeah. I've been kind of like the opposite. It's like watch and see what they do now.
Absolutely.
And that's why I just look at Brad, and it's like we really over the next 5 days, and again, tonight's Attica, tomorrow night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He's got to execute. That team's got to be flawless, and there's some other really good teams that are going to be good. But we're at a spot where we're seeing something that is special to watch.
Well, and the thing with Brad is I feel like, and I think just his personality, he's just kind of got that laid back, California personality, doesn't get too fired up, doesn't get, he gets excited. He definitely gets emotional after wins and stuff, but he's just kind of more laid back than like, say, maybe a maybe a Donnie who, who sometimes gets a little chippy and, and will kind of have those bigger moments in post-race interviews and things like that. I think that when you really look at Brad's accomplishments on paper and you really look at what that team's done and just how consistent they are he sounded like they've been really, really off and they've been extending their points lead. So,
our comment was he hasn't won like in 4 or 5 races.
Right.
And he said, we were second in Houston.
And then he reels off 3 or 4 in a row.
Exactly. It's crazy. It really is. Always good to hang out and chat with the big cat for sure.
Power isn't born. It's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain. And we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Circle B Diecast is the new diecast outlet from Plan B Sales. What started as Lionel and Chase Authentics apparel distributor has grown into the largest distributor of diecast and now includes Auto World Greenlight Collectibles, Brand Art, Sam Bass Artwork, and University of Racing lines. They have a huge inventory. The folks at Circle B Diecast love racing and support drivers like Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Christopher Bell, and many others with sponsorships and partnerships. And on orders over $20, use promo code MRN for free shipping. Check them out, circlebdiecast.com.
Flow Racing is the home of grassroots racing with over 1,300 races streaming live in 2021. Watch the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl, World 100, Dirt Late Model Dreams, Sweet 16, and much, much more. Subscribe today by going to flowracing.com/MRN. From sprint cars on dirt to SK Modifieds on pavement, arena cross, drag racing, and everything in between, it's here live and on demand. Subscribe today by going to flowracing.com/MRN. That's FLOracing.com/MRN. There are always great stories in sprint car racing. It seems like every week we have a great story, and then every once in a while, one of them just exceeds all the great stories. Mm-hmm. And this past weekend up at River City Speedway was one of those stories that played out. Mark Dobmeier, significant serious back injury last year at Cedar Lake, out of the race car for a year. Comes back Friday night, River City, no sprints, parks it on the front stretch in Victory Lane. Doesn't get enough of it on Friday night, so he comes right back out and does it again on Saturday night. And he joins us on the Dryden hotline. Hello, Mark. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
You bet. Well, it feels great to be on Wing Nation talking about racing again anyway.
My God, how do you even process the last year and this past weekend of your life? How do you even put your arms around it, Mark?
You don't really. You just it's kind of one of them surreal experiences. It's been a rough year, just kind of getting back together. Obviously, the first goal was to get back racing again, and find out that we were able to do it as long as we got healed up right. So we hit the recovery process quite hard and got after it, and then we were able to rejoin. Basically, 1 year after injury was kind of the deadline that we had to hit. So after 1 year, we were able to join up last weekend again on Thursday and Friday, actually, are the 2 race days, and just felt great to come out and just get ripping that cushion again, especially up here at River City Speedway and in front of a great fan base, and a lot of fans traveled from down south and came up to watch it as well, and just to get up to speed and come out with a win right away was absolutely amazing.
Thursday, Friday wins up at River City. That is the case. Mark, the recovery period, the process, when you're told a year, I guess my question is, what was the last month like? And did you get in a sprint car and do a little bit of starting the engines and testing a little bit? Or what was like the last month, and how difficult was that being patient, waiting for this deadline?
Well, it was, we were actually, all the doctors were telling me I was ahead of schedule as we were coming up to the season. And of course they wanted to do all that kind of the big final CT scans, or, kind of 1 year CT scans, roughly about 1 year. And I said, well, I'm ahead of schedule. Let's push it up and let's do it before the race season. So my initial plan was actually to start at the beginning of this race season. So we had cars built. The crew worked hard all winter. We rebuilt the trailer quite a bit, did a lot of fixing on that, and had cars all ready to go. And we hit basically a week right before race season. I did my final scans, and I was expecting to honestly go racing at the beginning of the year. And after looking at the scans, they said, that I am ahead of schedule. Everything's doing good, but we want to see 1 year before we'll let you jump back in. So I was all geared up. I was more heartbroken at the beginning of the year because I was pretty determined I was going to start right away in April, May, somewhere in there, and I couldn't do it. So I kind of been sitting on the sidelines and kind of twiddling my thumbs a little bit. But I was fortunate to have Dominic Sells, who came up and ran for us when we had the Outlaw Show in Grand Forks and Sauk Rapids, and then also at Houston Speedway. So had a few things to keep us busy, and he's a pretty entertaining guy to work with. So it was a lot of fun at the same time. So.
Well, maybe he helped with your recovery process and helped build those core muscles with all the laughing that you did with Dom around.
That's very possible. He's an entertaining guy. He's a lot of fun to work with, and it actually worked out good. And I'm kind of a busybody. I got to keep busy all the time, so that bought me some time anyway.
I bet your trailer's never been like so clean and organized because if you can't sit still like that. But can you tell us a little bit more about what your rehabilitation, like your recovery process was?
Yeah, basically, I was in the body cast and everything, which is basically a hard shell. It's a plastic wraparound Velcro deal, but from the waist up for about a month and a half after surgery. Then I was able to kind of take it off and slowly do more and more. But I think the biggest thing that helped me out is kind of coming to not a guy that sits around. I was in the hospital for a week. Once I got out, I told my wife right away I was going to work. I got out on Friday. I told her I was going to work on Monday, and she shook her head, and I couldn't quite do it on Monday. But by the following Tuesday, I was already going back to work. So I think obviously I wasn't working hard, but I had to do. At least I answered phones, and I felt like I was part of the shop. Helped scheduling, dealt with some customers, and did the stuff that I could do. But I think just getting up and moving and trying to get to your normal life back, I think is the biggest thing that helped me with that speedy recovery. But basically every morning I do a lot of physical therapy. Every night I would do some physical therapy and just keep your body moving and stretched out, and just keeping that mobility going is the biggest thing.
So what did you have to convince your wife that you were going to go back racing, or I'm assuming that there was no doubt.
Guy that bought a house with a race shop in about 2 days' time.
Right.
He's got,
yeah. Well, she grew up racing as well. She actually raced snowcross, snowmobiles when she was younger, and so she'd been around it her whole life, and she'd been around the better part of my career as well. So she knew what I was going to be after. She knew she wasn't going to convince me otherwise. So. She's been on board. She started to get a little cold feet I thought last week right before I jumped back in, but now that we got a few races under her belt, she's quite content. So she's been obviously one of my biggest supporters and biggest helpers through this whole thing. Her and my two little boys and my mom and dad and her mom and dad and everybody as well.
What's it like watching races for you and not being able to race? Because that's all you've done for the last year. And I know you were car owner with Dominic, but we rave about all the great pay-per-view and all the races. Did you watch a lot of racing? Did you ignore it totally? What was that like?
Oh, no, I watched a ton of racing, and it was tough, especially just going to the local races around here when you've been such a big part of it forever. Now I tried that sitting in the grandstands thing, and, I started getting it down. I found out where the beer garden and everything was. So but honestly, it was probably a good experience for me because kind of like you said, my whole life growing up, I've always been on the other side of it. I've never sat in, when I was young, I sat in the grandstands, but I've always been in the pit area, always been driving, always been kind of part of the other side of it. So to kind of take yourself out of that aspect, put it in the grandstands, just look from a different point of view, and then watching different driving styles or techniques and watching the track change, keeping an eye on that, I think definitely helped me out a little bit. Probably another big thing that helped me out is just working with different drivers, and hearing their take on it, and then just going out and actually watching the car and seeing what it's doing for them and how they're driving it, and just kind of basically I just tried to use this as to an advantage of some point, and be a sponge and take in everything you can and try to learn from it and make yourself better. Sammy Swindell, I was fortunate to have him come up last year, and he ran the car, and up here in Grand Forks and Houston, and then worked with Tim Kading a little bit out in Arizona, and then Dominic drove it this year. So I got to work with 3 different drivers and kind of see 3 different perspectives, and it was definitely a different role for me. I wasn't used to it. I didn't love it. I'd much rather be driving, but it was a good learning experience for me, and I think we definitely did take some things away and have a notebook of stuff to try now, so we can try better ourselves and get some more speed.
What has the reaction been since Thursday night, since Friday night? From what has the reaction been like, and what has that meant to you to have this reaction?
The reaction's been it's been humbling. I mean, the whole experience has been just the support from everybody, from my sponsors with Buffalo Wild Wings, Belster Motors, to Culp Seed, all these guys that stayed behind me the whole time, and all the fans that all the outpouring support between letters, donations, everything through this whole thing has just been humbling. So, and then right away we come back and we're able to pull off a race, and in my hometown, the crowd was going absolutely nuts, and it was just one of the best feelings in the world you can experience, I guess. So it's just amazing to get back out there and get rolling, and we were able to go down to Sioux Falls on Sunday as well and hit the Houston Speedway, which is my second hometown track, I call it. And had a little bit different experience there. We're a little bit frustrated. We came out to qualify and had some motor issues, so then we had to start in the back everything for the change motors and start in the back everything for the rest of the night. But we were able to make the best of it. We started 15th in the feature and got up to 8th. And it was elbows up, bumpy track, so we were riding the rodeo around there and having some fun. So, any
aches and pains after that, or is everything good?
No, everything's been good.
Good.
You know, I feel like I'm back to a normal life. I'm sitting at the radiator shop right now, working away, and I've been doing that for quite some time, and I'm back to doing everything I did before, really. So you just try, you always keep it in the back of your mind and be a little bit more cautious about it. And if there's something big and heavy, you think twice about lifting it, and you have somebody else help you out a little bit, you know. So
that makes sense.
Yeah,
makes
absolutely.
Sense,
So what is your plans for the rest of the year? Are you what are the next big races that you're going to do, and kind of where is your focus going to be for the rest of this season?
We're taking it one race at a time. I felt really comfortable last weekend, and I think we're pretty much going to hit it back to full steam, kind of pick up our schedule as if we had been here all year. So this weekend we plan on racing Grand Forks Friday night and Sioux Falls Sunday again. And we'll be doing a lot of that until we get closer to the Nationals here. Then I imagine we'll venture out a little bit more and try to hit the Nationals. And as soon as we get them outlaws around here again right after the Nationals, we got that outlaw show in Grand Forks and Fargo right after that. So that's probably the biggest race I'm looking forward to. And then just kind of pick up the schedule. Any big events in the Midwest here we'll be at. And then at the end of the year, we'll probably finish up with some of the Arizona stuff like the Copper Classic and that, and get some racing in down there as well.
How, before you had this crash, Huset's was sitting idle. Now you come back as a race car driver with a Sunday night home. I can't imagine how good that must be for you.
That feels amazing.
Yeah.
That was just the news of Todd Querin taking that over was I knew it was going to be a great thing. He's a great guy to own that track. I mean, look at all the amazing things he's done with Jackson, and now Huset's already had a lot of updates done to it, but he's kind of polished that joint and made it so it's a great venue for the fans to come out and watch a race, and for the racers to come do it. So I think it's going to create some great racing in the Midwest. It already has with that whole month or whole week of racing you had just a few weeks ago here. So I'm extremely looking forward to it. It was probably one of the most bittersweet taste in my mouth was last year when they after I was injured and they had that first race at Houston Speedway, and I had to go there and watch it, and it was definitely a different experience for me. It was the first time ever sitting in this grandstand at Houston Speedway, and I'll never forget I sat up in a suite in the corner in the Dammer Trucking Suite, and the first time I watched a car go around there, I turned to the guy next to me and I told him, these guys are crazy. I don't know why they're doing that.
Well, I was actually there. Postman was too for the Outlaw shows, and the amount of support and the number of Buffalo Wild Wings T-shirts and your T-shirts that I saw around there was incredible. So it had to feel good to actually get back there and be able to race there in front of that crowd after the response that we saw for you when Dom was running your car there about a month ago now, I guess. It was. Yep.
We ran down there a lot. It's been my second hometown track, and the support down there is absolutely amazing. It's just like when I'm up here at River Cities, it's just quite humbling to see all the shirts and all the fan base down there. It's great.
So have you ever done any non-wing racing? I'm
I
asking
have
because
one
of
time.
the USAC Nationals.
She's setting you up, Mark. She's setting you up. Be careful with your answer here.
Because there's a big
I think I'm
non-wing
going to consider it a one and done.
There we go. She's working with.
Dang it.
She's working on that the big USAC race coming up there. She's trying to lure some people in. So
hey, $20,000 to win a USAC
that's
non-wing show.
That's the only track that I've ever raced non-wings at. When it was Badlands Speedway, they had that.
That's right.
Big paying sprint car show and then a non-wing show. So we had a lot of fun with it. We went out there and put a big axle on the front end and gave it a whirl, and I think it was so much fun because we had absolutely no clue what we were doing. Like, where do we set this river at? 18 inches, 25 inches, we don't know. So we just threw stuff at it, and we were able to actually make the show. And I started deep in the field, and I think I was up to about a fifth place car at one point, and I was feeling pretty good, and thought I was going to have a good finish. It was fourth or fifth, somewhere up there, and then right at the end, the big boys came in and swept and pushed me back to eighth place. So we had a good run though for our first time doing it.
Wow.
Good stuff. That's for sure. Mark, really, really good to see your smiling face back in victory lane. Congratulations, and we look forward to it. Sounds like we'll catch up with you at the Nationals, and good luck between now and then.
Sounds great. Thanks for calling. Good
There
to hear
we
from
go.
you guys.
Mark Dobmeier, Dynamite. Mark Dobmeier. Boy, there's a lot of area that left on the table there with him. He said when he was talking about work back to normal at the radiator shop, we had him on a couple years ago, and he's a bounty hunter also.
Oh, wow.
And he's chased some people out of balconies of apartment buildings. Sunoco is a proud part trying to get their money.
Gosh.
And so
when you said bounty hunter, I just thought you meant like he was going to run some big races and try and cherry pick some money.
And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the clock. It's like, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I want to ask him about bounty hunting. And I want to ask him how many Buffalo Wild Wings did Dominic Selzy consume while driving for him?
Wow.
So if they paid him in cash or Buffalo Wild Wings. So
I'd take some spicy garlic in payment.
we're just going to have to dial Mark back up and find out about wings and bounty hunting as well. Wonderful guy and a great story. Hey, stick with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment. Sunoco is a proud partner of Wing Nation. Not all fuels are created equal, so fill up with Sunoco Ultratech. Sunoco Ultratech is a top-tier detergent gasoline that is proven to make your engine run cleaner, longer, and more efficiently. Using the same detergent package as what is blended into some of Sunoco's high-performance race fuels, you can trust Ultratech for your everyday race. Whether you're headed to the track or just hitting the road, fill up with Sunoco Ultratech and fuel your best.
Just like racing components, Aggressive Hydraulics purpose-builds hydraulic cylinders to perform for customer-specific applications. They design and manufacture mobile-style, single-stage cylinders as well as multi-stage telescopic cylinders. It's a no one-size-fits-all approach with Aggressive Hydraulics. Hydraulic solutions for virtually every industry that uses hydraulic cylinders. They proudly design and manufacture all cylinders in the United States. Check out the video of their story at aggressivehydraulics.com.
Wing Nation rolling along here as we continue on and racing all week long.
Yes.
Tonight, the Brad Doty Classic at Attica. Man, I love Attica. I love Brad Doty. What's not to like about that? Gonna pop up some popcorn. And,
Absolutely.
well, you've got Millbridge. I've got Summer Shootout, and then pop up some popcorn and see what's going on up there. The Western, I mentioned this earlier, the Western Sprint Tour, they have their 2021 Speed Week going on. Tonight, they're at Willamette Speedway in Lebanon, Oregon. Wednesday night, they're at Sunset Speedway in Banks, Oregon. And Friday and Saturday, they're at Cottage Grove Speedway in Cottage Grove, Oregon. Okay, and then tomorrow, all the action on the World of Outlaws shifts over to Eldora.
Big money.
For the Joker's Wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so going to be fun. Hey, if you're going to Eldora, our friends at Hercules Tires are giving away a set of tires. Yes, all you need to do at their display, which is off turn number 4, all you need to do is go over there with your phone. There's a QR code. Punch it into your phone. Fill out the entry.
Wow.
You're entered, and one fan at the King's Royal this weekend will win a free set of Hercules tires. How about that?
Go get you some free NOS. Go over there and get you some tires.
Free tires. We got it all covered. Might see some good racing up there as well.
And some good food.
Good food as well. Yes, pizza burgers on the way, that's for sure, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So neat stuff. Hey, coming up this weekend on our Thursday podcast, looking forward to this and looking forward to this, Tim Clausen.
Absolutely.
Always love talking to Tim. And, of course, the Clausen Marshall Racing, which you're a Marshall, even though you're a McKinney now. We're looking forward to talking to him. And then also coming up on our Wing Nation television program, presented by Sage Fruit, Bud Kading joins us. So looking forward to Bud Kading joining us there. Wing Nation gear is available at www.wingnation.com. That's wingnation.com. You can follow us on all our social channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We've got you covered there. So we'll see you again Thursday for our Wing Nation podcast with Tim Clausen.